Boom. That there. And we are now live, man. Special episode of Redeem Yourself podcast. And when I say special, first and foremost, this is the first episode that I recorded in the new year. So thank you, Richard, for creating time to come on to the Redeem Yourself podcast. How are you, good sir?
Oh man, I'm so blessed. God has really blessed me. So
Amen.
I'm more blessed than I deserve to be. So
No doubt, man. I like the sound of that. Well, let me drop my little intro and then we're gonna get right to it. How that sound with you?
Let's roll.
Before I start every episode, I gotta play my little bop. Yeah, man, you do a little dance. However you get down, if you in the car, wherever you listen to, watch, you know what I'm saying? I want everybody to bob your head and do the little dance that Richard's doing right now. If you with me, let's roll. Yeah. Oh man, welcome to the show, bro. Like, I'm so glad to have you. I appreciate, when I put the post out, because I really was just trying to figure out what my next move was, man. And I had to get back to the basics, which is what I love, is interviewing, hearing inspiring stories, ones of growth, struggle, triumph, and then how we could give our experiences back to those in need. You know what I mean? So before we get into the nitty gritty, let's do our check-ins. So I know I asked once, how are you, good sir?
I'm doing better now because I'm an old hip hop head. So I love that. I love the intro.
All right. When you say old hip hop head, shoot me some artists that you enjoy.
Well, if I go on my phone right now, I got DMX.
Okay.
I got
That's a vibe.
NWA. I got NWA. Too Short, Pac, Biggie. Of course, being East Coast, so I got a lot of love. 50, Eminem. So I mean, I love.
Where are you located again, bro?
I'm in Jersey, but I'm
Jersey.
also
That's right.
I'm also an old school. Like me and my wife, we just went to go see the Temptations.
There you go.
So I'm an old school R&B kind of guy.
That's what's up. Smooth music.
Yeah.
And my pops used to say,
sometimes the dog got to come out. You know what I mean?
No doubt. I definitely know what you mean, man. Well, it seems like all is going well with you, sir. And man, I just love doing this. I love learning new things. I love seeing how people overcome challenges and what they're working on, because I know it inspires me. I'm a dreamer. I always have been, and the world itself kind of boxed me into my dreams, and that, addiction and all that stuff kind of stunted my growth, as you will. So there we have the Redeem Yourself podcast. Like, how do we break free and do new things and begin to dream again? So without further ado, introduce yourself, and then let's get this thing rolling.
My name is Richard Kaufman. I am the comeback coach.
Okay.
Top podcast, one of the top podcasters in the world.
Wow.
We also two-time top-selling book. Our podcast has over 1.5 million downloads. Spoke all over the world, been all over the world. But I love, my moniker is going from dope dealer to hope dealer.
Yeah,
now I deal with hope instead of dope. So.
I love it. And that's a lot. So 1.5 mil on the podcast. And I wish I knew which button did the applause. I don't really remember right off top. So I'm going to give you one of these for the salute.
I'll take it.
You say you got two books that you've written?
Well, actually, I'm in the process of writing another one right now. But my first one actually hit number one twice.
What?
Yeah.
Let me drop that again, man. Nah, that's amazing. So speaker, dope dealer to hope dealer. So it's a lot going on, man. So we can get into the story, brother. How was life for you growing up? The
Uh,
comeback coach. I like that, man. That is fire,
well,
yo.
actually, Gary Vaynerchuk actually gave me that name, so we can talk about
Oh,
that later.
Gary V. Gary V.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
he gave me that name, and he started
Okay.
me on the podcast journey. But my mom's grew up. My mom was an addict, and
Mm,
my pops left when I was 3 months old. So I had a rough upbringing, abused and stuff like that. Had my first drink at 11, and I was a full blown alcoholic by the age of 13,
mm.
and it was
So,
living on the streets at the age of 15, 16.
well, so you say you grew up and your mother was an addict, so that was kind of the introduction of you witnessing like drugs, alcohol. Like, how old were you? Like, give me like an age range that you were seeing some of these things.
Oh, from the beginning, because my family, big Italian family, we always drank wine and
Hmm.
got loud. So my whole life been around booze. So
Okay.
that wasn't even a. It was just something you did at every meal. So it was just natural to have alcohol and booze around.
And so this was like in Jersey, or did you move around?
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
I mean, I moved around. I went to 14 different schools by the age of 13.
Oh wow.
So I
So
never
break
made
that down
friends
for.
as a kid. I never made any friends because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make any friends. I'm I'm not going to be here long enough. So I just kept to myself and partied.
Mm. All right. So you raised in this family, alcohol and other substances. I'm assuming were kind of always a part of the upbringing. As a kid, where did you find like a safe space? Like, tell me some things that you enjoy doing. Where did Richard, where did you fit in into the scope of all of this stuff happening around you?
Well, this is crazy because somebody asked me, where did you get your education? And I said the bathtub because when my parents would argue, I would hop into the bathtub, fill up the water to my ear so I can't hear anything, and I would just read books. And even
Okay.
to this day, I'll go into a bath for 2 to 3 hours and I'll finish a book, two books. I've read. I'm only a ninth grade dropout, but I've read
Hmm.
over 6,000 books. And I,
God.
and I have 18 books going right now and two audio books. So I'm that guy that that was my escape was reading because I could read a book and it could take me anywhere in the world once I read while I was reading. So that was my escape. And I don't remember any of my childhood from like 12 years and below. I don't remember anything in my past from that
Really?
age. Yeah, I like if anybody asks me what was your Christmas like, I don't know. I got nothing. I got no answers for you. I don't remember it. A lot of it was repressed.
So that was gonna be my next question. Do you feel like you just kind of shove that stuff to the back so you could continue on with life and not have to, I guess, deal with those feelings? Is that
Yeah,
kind
it's
of?
kind of like even I spent 23 years in the military,
Hmm.
and a lot of us, we deal with whatever's in front of us, and we all lock that stuff behind us in closed doors. And
Mm,
unfortunately, those some of those doors haven't opened for me yet, and I'm still
okay.
working on them. I'm still in therapy after 12 years, but hopefully those doors will open one day. So if anybody's out there feeling like that, don't worry. Like they say, um, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yes. Yes, most
So,
definitely.
don't if you don't remember, if you can't figure it out, don't worry. It's okay to be not to be okay.
No doubt. No doubt. I like that, man. I do. I genuinely do. So prior to 12, you kind of pushed all that stuff to the side. Break that down. Let's 12 to 18, like adulthood. What did life look like in that phase?
Well, like I said, I was a full blown alcoholic by the age of 13. Drinking a case.
Oh
Um,
no. Wait,
I
can
got
you run
thrown.
that back? It froze for a second. You said you full blown alcohol at the age of 13, drinking a case, and then it went.
Uh, um, I was drinking a case a night, a fifth of
Okay,
Sambuca, and whatever I can find. And
and this is at
I
13.
got at 13, yeah, 13. And I got thrown out of high school for hitting a teacher in the head with a desk.
Damn.
So it was either my thought process was either I go to jail
Hmm.
or join the military. So I actually joined the military and went to jail. So
Mm,
so for me, I joined the military because I figured, you know, I don't plan on living past the age of 20 anyway. So if I get killed in battle, who cares? You know, I
mm,
want to travel the world because I joined at 17. I want to travel the world. You know, I want to party. I want to party, and I want to die young, and I want to leave a good-looking corpse.
mm.
That was my thought process at the age of 17.
So you joined the military at 17. So where? And I don't know. Like again, when we start to discuss this stuff, I say allegedly, but you said you did mention that you went to jail. Was this like in the military? You went?
No, this is well, actually, I got locked up a couple of times in the military, but when I got out, is when I robbed a police officer, and I was looking at 5 years for grand larceny.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I told you this
Man, you
story
did
is
what?
weird, man.
Yo, how old were you, bro?
19? No,
19.
I think it was 20. I think it was
Uh,
20 when it happened.
can you walk me through what happened there?
Well, I joined the military,
Mhm.
and not only did I become a bigger alcoholic, I actually became a drug addict in the military,
Mm,
and I got thrown out for being a drug addict and a alcoholic. So they threw me out at the age of 19,
mm. What
and then I
what
get home.
substances?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What substances? You said alcohol
Well,
and
I found because I knew at that point they couldn't drug test for acid because they'd
mm,
have to do a spinal tap, and that's like 10 grand. So instead of smoking weed, or that became my drug of choice for 2 years.
mm. All right.
So I get thrown out for being an addict and an alcoholic. I come home, uh, and of course, I got to give props to my pops. He lost him 2 years ago, Valentine's Day, but he was a hardworking dude. He came off the boat from Italy, didn't speak the language, worked 6 days a week, two jobs, bought two houses cash,
Mm,
retired at a great age, at a young age, because he worked his ass off. And for me, I was a young punk, coming home, traveling the world for 2 years. I roadied for Joan Jett. I
mhm,
traveled all in Europe, got hammered all over Europe, and then have to come home and be in by 10 o'clock because my dad has to get up at 5 o'clock to get to work a double shift. I was just an asshole, and they eventually threw me out because I couldn't listen to the rules. So
mm,
they actually
mm.
threw me out, and I actually lived in my car. I lived in my car. I'm actually the only guy you're ever going to talk to that actually got thrown out of the crack house
Damn.
because that's how bad I was. I actually got thrown out of a crack house.
So your folks, when your folks kicked you outside, and I don't know how many times, my parents did the same thing, and I think as you just stated, that resonated with me so much. You know, as my pops, hardworking, man. I lost him last year, May 16th of last year, unexpectedly. And everything that I did in my youth, like as I was sitting with him in the hospital leading up to his passing, and we were just talking, because I'm grown now, and we could share certain things that I didn't want to disclose, growing up. And that was important to me, to tell him thank you. for not letting me slide, and being tough on me, man. I didn't get it as a 14-year-old punk, like I hated it, honestly. And as I got older and I became a father, and I was telling my son this the other day, like, damn, my dad made a lot of sense. Like
Okay.
a lot of sense, man. So when you get put out the house, instead of living in the car, like what was going on then, man? How were you surviving?
The funny thing was, and I tell this all the time. Now, this is back in 1989.
Okay.
I was with my girlfriend's father.
Mhm.
I was bringing home $1,000 cash a
Damn.
week, cash.
Yeah, in
But
'89.
it's 89, so that was worth a lot more money
Yeah,
back then.
yeah,
But
that's a rack, couple racks.
I would get paid on a Friday, and I would put a little money, for gas
Mhm.
away. But then I'd get drunk, I'd get high, I'd get robbed, and I'd
Mm,
be broke again by Saturday morning. So at this point, I'm living in the crack house. I'm actually eating out of garbage cans. I'm actually eating um, dented cans I would find at the grocery store, and they pull the labels off. So I would
mhm.
eat from them and not even know what I'm going to eat that day. Whatever can I open, that's what I was having that day.
Damn.
So, but and again, if people are listening, it's all my fault. 100%. I blame nobody. Everything is on me. So
Mhm.
I'm not. You're never going to hear me say it's somebody else's fault. It's my dad's fault, my mom's fault. It's my fault, and I take 100% responsibility. But I also take 100% responsibility of my success.
Hmm. Accountability is key on both sides.
Yep. So, and, well, you get back to the police officer. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Damn, I
my
almost
mom,
forgot.
yeah, my mom said I can come back in the house if I go to school.
Mhm.
So, and I'm like, all right, I'm not good at school because I got severe ADHD. I have dyslexia, so I'm not very good at school. I learn from different modalities. So if you have a kid out there and you think he's not doing great in school, there might be a reason. Maybe because he learns a little, or he or she learns a little bit different than you actually think. So give him a little break and find out what the real problem is. I just want to
Okay.
put that out.
No, that's good
Um,
stuff. Good info.
but so I went to school to be a bartender, and if you're an alcoholic and you're a bartender, it doesn't go too well. But I graduated on New Year's Eve, and a gentleman asked me if I can bartend at his club, and he was a police officer. I'm like, yeah, my first job. This is New Year's Eve, 1989. I'm 20 years old. I'm not even allowed to drink yet. But he hired me, and you know, everything was going great. I was making money, serving drinks, and then
Mhm.
somebody bought me a drink, and I don't remember anything after that. 8 hours later, I hear it was him and three of his buddies coming to lock me up. So I robbed like 3 grand, and I gave away like $5,000 worth of free drinks. And
Damn.
he's like, "All right," he's like, "I'm 20 years old," and he's like, "All right, Rich," he's like, "I'm going to give you a choice," and that's why I wear the
Mhm.
shirt every day. It says, "Today I decide."
Okay.
Um,
Okay. I like that.
he's like, "You know what? You can either go to jail. Now you're white, you're pretty, you're going to be somebody's bitch, and your life is pretty much going to be over because you're going to do 5 years for robbing a police officer.
Mm.
You're not getting out a day early, or you can go to AA for 90 meetings in 90 days, and you got to get my money back within 24 hours."
Mm.
So I had to think, do I want to be a tight end or do I want to be a wide receiver? So I'm like, so I'm like, you know, I'm too pretty to go to jail right now.
Oh.
So I begged and I borrowed. My aunt, and my uncle bailed me out. And I borrowed the money and I paid it all back. And instead of hitting 90 meetings in a row, I hit like 300 meetings in a row,
Damn.
and I haven't had a drink since January 1st, 1989. I just
January
celebrated
1st,
35
1989.
years.
30,
But
35 years. Holy smokes, brother.
just
Congratulations.
celebrated it. Yeah, just celebrated this year. But what also happened, as my uncle that bailed me out,
Mhm,
now he was a badass. I mean, my uncle was a fourth grade dropout. Fourth grade,
mhm.
retired as a multi-millionaire,
Damn.
was in the Korean War, and he was the boxing champion of the army.
Wow.
And when he bailed me out, he looked at me in my eyes and said, "You know what? I knew you didn't have what it takes to be a real military man."
Mm,
And it pissed me off. It made me so mad. I couldn't sleep for like 6 months straight. I'd woke up with night sweats because I respected this man. I mean, to
mhm.
come from that to what he did, I respected him so much. And I'm like, I can't let you just call me out like that, bro. I can't. So
Right.
I'm the only guy you're ever going to know that actually got back in the military
Mm.
after being thrown out for being a drug addict and alcoholic.
So you actually did end up going back. That kind of lit a fire under you.
Yeah, it did. But then when I got back in, I was still the same asshole as I was before, except this time I just didn't drink. So now I didn't have any excuse. I was just being an idiot. And now check this out. I'm from Jersey. I'm a kid from the street from Jersey.
Okay.
I, I moved to South Carolina. I moved to the backwoods
Yeah, I
of
was gonna
South
say
Carolina.
city to the woods.
And, they don't like Yankees as it is.
Mm,
And when you have an attitude and you have a bad mouth, they don't like you. They do not like you. And I got in a lot of trouble. I was actually due to be thrown out for a second time.
damn.
But because of what happened on the morning of September 11th, 2021, at 9:48 in the morning, my whole life has changed from that second. Uh,
So what? Break that down. When that happened.
well, where I'm sitting right now, if
Mhm.
I go sit on my front porch, I'm standing in the shadows where the Twin Towers once stood.
Really?
Yep. I'm actually 8 minutes away from downtown Manhattan.
Wow.
And we knew people that were in the towers that day.
Mm,
And
mm,
as I'm watching this, because I'm in South Carolina now, now
mhm.
at this time when this is all happening, it's live. There's no editing. I mean, you're hearing bodies hit the ground. You're
Mm.
seeing people jumping from buildings. You're seeing them pulling bodies out of the Pentagon. And all my stuff that I got to turn in that next weekend is to the right of the TV. And I keep looking, them pulling bodies draped with the American flag out of the Pentagon. And I realized these people just went to work. They're not coming home. Those
Mm.
fathers and mothers, they're not coming home. And I've just realized I've wasted 27 years of my life living for Richard. And at that moment, and I talk about it in my book, is when I actually crumbled into my couch, literally crumbled into my couch and broke
Mhm.
down and cried and wailed. And I called out to my Lord and I said, Lord, give me another chance. Give me another chance to help those that can't help themselves.
Mm.
And from that moment on, 9:48, September 11th, 2001, that's all I've done now is try to live to help people that can't help themselves. So my whole life turned around on that morning.
So it really did just open up something that sounds like you have been missing by seeing that tragedy.
Yeah, because when you realize, you know, somebody went to work and dropped their kids off,
Hmm.
they're not going home. They're not going to go home anymore. And all they wanted to do was protect their kids, protect this country. And here I'm wasting all these opportunities in my life that God's given me all these opportunities. And I've wasted them all, going through, I was on, now I'm on my third marriage, going through that and then going through the addiction and then the alcoholism, the homelessness, and then eventually the traumatic brain injury, the blindness.
Hmm.
Um, I realized that, God, you've given me, I'm here for a reason. I don't know
Hmm.
what it is, but my way's not working anymore.
Mm.
I want to do it your way. And that's when my whole life really started, was at September 11th, 2001. That's why even I got this done on September 12th, 2001. It said, some gave all. And it's been on my body since the 12th of September,
Mm.
2001. It's something I think every day that, Lord, you gave me a chance. Now, every day I wake up now, it's who can I help?
Mm.
Who's struggling? Who can I support? Who needs help? Who feels lonely? So that's why I'm just hanging out and with you on your amazing podcast and just hoping I can touch somebody's soul and heart.
You most certainly will, man, because it sounds like through everything you've been through, you most definitely have found a purpose. Um, so we could transition into from September 11th of 2001. What did you start to do, man? How did you start to put things together? Because we kind of got a little ahead, like 35 years sober. First and foremost, man, is a miraculous accomplishment. That is amazing because I know plenty of people who, some of them are day to day. God granted, we all live this life one day at a time. Sometimes it's hour by hour, minute by minute, depending on where you are in your journey, right? So your U-turn moment there became sounded like you found inspiration from your uncle. You're like, well,
Mm.
damn that. Like, I don't want this. I'm going back to show you, I can do this military thing, but I'm just piecing it together. It's like you didn't do the internal work, so you removed the booze and alcohol, but the person was still there, right?
Yeah, and I had a plan to get back in the military, and but like Mr. Iron Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in
You
the
get hit.
mouth.
Yeah, no
And
doubt, no
so I
doubt.
get back in, I so I had drilled the next weekend. But what I did is
Mhm.
I called my company commander, my first sergeant, which I'm still friends with to this day. And I said, let me come see you. I want to talk to you. And they're like, not this guy again. Because I was in their office more than they were in their office. And I said,
Ah.
so I said, sir, I'm sorry. I'm like,
Mm.
I don't know what to say. I'm just telling you that I'm a different man at 9:49 a.m. than I am at 9:48 a.m.
Mhm.
And they looked in my eyes and they said, you ain't the same person.
Mm.
I see it in you. Something changed. So they decided to keep me, thank God. Um, in 3 years, I became Soldier of the Year. I finished with a total of 23 years because I got hurt on duty and lost my vision. We could talk about that.
Yeah.
But when I got to drill that Saturday, I'm sitting home Friday and I'm going, my way's not working. Whatever I'm doing is not working. So I heard somebody, I don't remember who it was, said, um, success leaves clues.
Yep. Success leaves clues. Tony Robbins, I
So
think.
I got there 2 hours early. I stayed 2 hours late just to see what the successful people were doing. And when I got there 2 hours early, the parking lot was full because the successful people there got an hour before that.
Mm.
So that's when I decided I want what they got. they're being successful. They got nice trucks, they got nice houses, they got relationships. And I'm like, that's what I want. So I just, as because I got busted again, so I was down at the bottom. Oh, hold on, I
Hmm.
missed something up here. Can you still see me?
Yeah, I see you, bro. You're good. You're good on my end.
All right, I don't know what happened, but hold on, let me. I'm sorry about this, guy. I'm a low
Do your
tech
thing.
redneck, so
And nah, man, do your thing, bro. It ain't. It's nothing. It's nothing. Technology. It is what it is.
well, you know what? You don't have. As long as you can see me, we're good, right?
Yeah, man. Crystal
As
clear.
long as you can, as long as you can see me, we're good, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're solid, bro.
Okay. So what happened was, I got there 3 hours early, and then I stayed until everybody was gone.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start tomorrow's Sunday. I'm going to start following the high ranking people. I'm going to start following them and seeing what they do. And I found out they get early, they stay late, they sign up for as many classes as they can. They try to get into self education, reading self development books. So
Hmm.
that's what I started doing. And then eventually, like I said, I won, Soldier of the Year. I got promoted as a non commissioned officer. And eventually, I ended up my career with 23 years, where if I didn't get hurt, I would have done 30 years.
Mm. So,
But I got hurt and I lost my vision.
do you mind sharing what happened, or is that one of them things you don't really?
No, bro, I'm 100. I'm
Okay,
100 all the time.
no
What
doubt, no
happened
doubt.
was, I don't know what I keep doing. I'm sorry.
Man, take your time, bro. It's
Oh,
nothing to it.
I'm just, I get nervous when I hang around with great people like you. So what happened was, uh, I uh, I moved to New Jersey and joined the New Jersey National Guard,
Hmm.
and I was my first drill down in by Atlantic City, and I was one of my vehicles broke down, so I was pulling it off the highway, and I'm in a Humvee, I'm in an Up Armor Humvee,
Hmm.
and I'm backing up my driver. I'm backing him up, backing him up, backing him up. Instead of him hitting the brakes, he hit the gas and ran over the whole right side of my body
Mm.
and ran over my head.
Oh man.
So
Gee.
I had an ocular stroke, which caused me to lose 80% of my vision.
Mm. But even with that setback, you still managed to create a wonderful life.
Well, you know what it was because in the military, if you get hurt, it takes a while for them to figure out what they're going to do with you. I
Hmm.
knew they were going to discharge me, but I didn't know how long. So for a whole year, they put you in a room for the weekends or whatever, and you can either
Hmm.
play cards, you can poker. I got great at playing dice, but after the first weekend, I'm like, I can't do this. Being a big reader, so I'm like, you know what? I seen because when I was in the offices with these the higher ups, they were always reading self development books.
Hmm.
So they were reading books by Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within,
Yeah.
um, you know Rich Dad Poor Dad by Sharon Lecter and Robert Kiyosaki, uh, Damon John. So I just started absorbing as much self development books as I can, and I kept hearing the name Gary V coming up a lot.
Around what year
And
is this?
well, my suicide attempt was Labor Day 2012, so this had to be about 2011.
So there's the suicide attempt, right? And I know we kind of juggling back and forth, but it's like we get to talking, you start telling the story, and then something pops in. And it's like, oh man, like I gotta touch on that. Like I too am a suicide attempt survivor. Um, I don't know how you went about it, but
Well, what happened was
Mhm.
what had happened was,
What had happened
um,
was.
so I knew my time was going to be done in the military eventually,
Mhm,
but I didn't know when. And like I said, it took them a year to decide, well, we're going to medically discharge you. I knew it was coming,
mhm.
but in the military, you never pulled out your driver's license. Everything was your military ID. You were that was who you were, was your military. That became, who I became, who I was Sergeant Kaufman. There was no Richard, there was no Rick. It was just Sergeant Kaufman all day, 24 hours, 100. That was me all day long. So when they finally asked me for my ID and they said, "You're no longer Sergeant Kaufman."
Mm.
Well, wait a minute. You know, God gave me a second chance, and I did everything I could to become the ultimate soldier. I took every class you wanted me to take, went to every school. I actually used to have to drive to drill when I moved from here to South Carolina. I drove 13 hours to get there
Damn.
and 13 hours home on Sunday, and I was never late, never missed a drill, and still made it 3 hours early. Um, so now you're telling me I'm not who this super soldier is? Well, if I'm not Sergeant Kaufman, who am I? Who's Richard? I don't know who I am. And it scared me to death because, my goal was to do 30.
Mhm.
And because I wanted to show my uncle, even though he passed, that I can do it. And I felt like I failed him. I felt like I failed my wife because, 1 second, you know, working at GNC, powerlifting, bodybuilding, I'm jacked, I'm shredded. The next minute, I'm blind and I
Mm.
can't even take myself to the bathroom.
Mhm.
So here I am. I felt like I failed my wife, my career. I lost my friends, my camaraderie. So I was like, you know what? If I kill myself today, my wife's going to get like 500 grand. Because if you get hurt on duty, you get killed on duty, your family gets the money. I'm
Right.
like, you know what? I'm just gonna take myself out. Um, you know, and let my wife and I had a 6-month-old brand new baby daughter. And
Mm.
I'm like, at least they'll be taken care of. So I got in my truck because I always wanted. When I was in the military, they used to drive in these big old pimped out Dodge Ram 1500. I always wanted
Yeah.
a pimped out Dodge Ram 1500, and I got it. I got it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so my goal was, um, I'm going to get in my truck. I'm going to get the truck up to 100 miles an hour.
Mm.
I'm going to put the cruise control on. I'm going to shut my eyes, turn the radio on, and eventually I'm going to run off the road and hit a concrete pylon. Again, like Mike Tyson says, everybody got a plan till you get punched in the mouth. So I called my wife, and this was, the hardest thing is call my wife because we were supposed to meet down the shore for the weekend for Labor Day. And I knew I was never going to talk to her again.
Mm.
I knew I was never going to see my wife again. I knew I was never going to see my 6-month-old baby again. And I knew I wasn't going to see my boys. And
Mm.
I told her, I love you. I've loved you since we were 13 years old. I adore you. And then I hung up and got on the road. I got on the road. Everything's going to plan. Cruise control up to 100 miles an hour. Turn on the radio. Close my eyes. Now, God, for me, I'm either an old school hip hop head or I'm a heavy
Mhm.
metal head.
Okay.
For some
Okay.
reason, country station came on. Don't know why. I have no clue why. But as I'm driving, and on the side of the road, you hit the little reflectors so they know you're
Mhm.
going to go off the side of the road. So I
Yeah.
feel my truck moving. I feel it moving inch by inch, and then I hear the reflectors hitting. I know I'm seconds away from death. And I'm sitting there, and there's a song by George Strait. It's called "I Saw God Today,"
Mm.
and it was about a man looking at his brand new baby daughter from the glass, with his hands on there, and say, she's my angel. I saw God today." And my eyes popped open, and I said, you know what? Today I decide I want to be a daddy. I want to be a husband. I don't want to be a statistic. So I
Mm.
jerked my car, pulled off the road, called my wife, told her what happened, and she was pissed off, obviously. But I told her, I said, honey, if I don't get help, I'm going to eat my gun this weekend.
Mm.
She said, honey, I got you. I got your back. She said, we can't
No
get help
doubt.
right now. She said, because it's a holiday weekend, but Tuesday morning, you're going to go to the VA and you're going to get the help you need. So Tuesday morning, I went to my first VA mental health appointment. And I've been seeing the same doctor. Now it's 12 years. I've been seeing the same therapist for 12 years. So guys, if you're out there, it's okay to get help.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's when my whole life started again, was after that suicide attempt. That's when my whole life started again. Another part of my story, that it all started again from that point.
Dog, you are truly such an inspiration, man. Like, I mean that wholeheartedly. So, that attempt happens, take us through life. How did that change? What did you begin working on? You said you written a couple books, working on the third. Like, so you've been busy. You didn't play games with your life afterwards, man. Like, how did you, scale from that to where you are now? Like, I want to know, because,
Well,
and the reason I say that is, we talk about success leaves clues, right? Well, clearly you have had successes in many different roles. One of my partners out in LA, his name is DJ Dejuan Verrett. He has a crazy story too. And his thing was, he said, man, the real Rick Ross, like, he was in the real Rick Ross, the drug moving camp. He found sobriety in prison. He's like 20, 30 years sober now too, read a couple books, man. Great guy. His thing is, he said, and life is a copycat league. Just make sure you're copying the right cats, you know, such as the success leaves clues, man. So I want to know, like, leave the trail of clues here, brother.
well, what happened, like I said, as I'm sitting in that room, I
Hmm.
start reading a lot of personal development. And I started hearing Gary Vaynerchuk.
Hmm.
And so as I'm doing background research, because I'm a big research guy, I like to do research on people. I found out that his dad's liquor stores in Springfield is 20 minutes from my house.
Hmm.
So I actually got to sneak my way in and actually hang out with Gary. And he's the one that started the Comeback Coach. He's the one that started the telling me to write a podcast. I mean, write a book. He's the one that told me to start a podcast. And in the beginning, my my Wounded Warrior hat was actually hanging up in his office. You could see it
Oh,
on
wow.
camera in some of the old videos. So, and that's again, I started looking and be like, you know, and now we're going to go back to old school hip hop again. I'm like, Gary, you know, what do I do now? He's like, well, you're the comeback coach. You worked with players because I was with GNC for over 30 years. I
Uh-huh.
worked with players from the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball, WWE, a former world heavyweight champion boxer, Lennox Lewis. I ran his
Okay.
training camp for 5 years. So I helped a lot of people come back from injuries. And
Okay.
then when I told him my story about, coming back from drug addiction, alcoholism, homelessness, traumatic brain injury, blindness, he's like, "You're the comeback coach." And I'm like, "Yeah, but what do just because I'm something, what do you do with it? How do you scale?" And then he's like, "I want you to go home and I want you to watch 8 Mile." 8 Mile. I've seen it like 10 times. I'm like, "I don't understand." He's like, "I want you to watch the last 2 minutes and I want you to call me back." So I watched the last 2 minutes where B Rabbit is battling.
Mhm.
And by the way, the guy he was battling just passed away from a fentanyl overdose. So guys,
Oh man,
watch it. But
rest his
I
soul.
said I watched it and I'm like, "All right, Gary, what are you talking about?" He's like, "I want you to write a book and I want you to put all the dirty shit you've ever put out in that book." And I'm like, "Why would I do that?" He's like, "Because this way nobody could ever come back at you and say, 'Yeah, you've been, this is your third marriage.' Yeah, but I got a beautiful wife. I got 3 beautiful kids. I live in a half a
Mhm.
$1 million home."
Mhm.
And he also said, somebody will say, "Yeah, you used to be homeless. You used to eat out of a garbage can." Yeah, but now when I go out, I'm getting surf and turf. I'm getting a filet mignon. I'm eating a lobster. Even if
Right.
I don't want it, I'm going to eat it just to remind myself of where I came from. And he's like, "But
100%.
this way, when you put that stuff out there, nobody could ever talk smack about you again because you already put it out there. And then people are going to say, 'Man, I've gone through some of the same things, and this guy's telling my story. Now I can relate to him, and I can call him if I need help. I can talk to Rich because he's been through it all, and he's not afraid to talk about it. Because a lot of people in recovery are afraid to talk about it. Oh, it's
Right.
supposed to be anonymous. Well,
Yep. Yep.
90% of the people that are hooked on fentanyl or hooked on drugs are never going to a meeting.
Nope.
They are in a rehab, it's usually court ordered.
Mhm.
So for me, I'm like, I can talk to maybe 20 people at an AA meeting, but I can talk to thousands and possibly millions if I put it out into the public space. So
That is an excellent idea.
that's how it all happened. And then the podcast started, and I'm the worst podcaster ever.
Why you say that,
Ever.
man?
Because
What?
listen to this. Now I just launched a course last Monday,
Okay.
about how to start a million download podcast. And I tell
Mhm.
the story that I had 300 episodes on my first podcast, and they were
Mhm.
never even on iTunes.
Mm.
They were all on Spotify or Anchor at that time.
Yeah.
And then when I had to put them back on, iTunes told me to go through. So I had
Damn.
to shut that podcast down and start literally from scratch. And now I have over 1,100 episodes.
Eh, Yo, how long you been potting?
This is my 5th year, and I
Okay.
got 6 episodes I'm recording on Wednesday.
Damn, man. So you get active.
Well, this is what I do. This is my life. So this is what I do. And even like I'm a big basketball guy. I'm a big NBA guy. I'm a big Lakers
Okay.
fan, but not a LeBron
Oh
fan. I
man,
can't
yeah.
wait for you to go. I can't wait for you to leave, LeBron. Uh, but I'm a
Oh
big
man.
Kobe guy. I love Kobe,
Kobe.
and
All
I'm a
right,
big
all
Kobe
right.
guy.
Okay,
And
okay.
what I love about Kobe is that after each time he won a championship, the next day he was in the gym at 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
He's working on the
To work.
next one.
Back to work.
So that's why
Was
for
it
me,
Kobe that said? My bad. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, was it Kobe that said when they said which one was your favorite championship, and he said my next one? Was that
Yep.
Kobe? Okay.
It was Kobe, and then because Kobe, and this is what I love about Kobe,
Mm-hmm.
he would play against Michael, Michael would torch him for like 50. 3 a.m. Kobe's calling Michael saying, "How'd you do it? What did I
Yeah,
do wrong? What did I do wrong? How can I get better?" And that's why,
I think
even podcasting, you know, I'm at a certain level, but I want to be where Ed Milet, Gary V,
mhm,
Tim Ferriss, Jocko. I mean, I'm on the same list now. I'm in the same
mm,
conversation, but I want to be where they're at. So that's where that whole success leaves clues. I
yes,
had to
sir.
find out who the best was. What are they doing? What are they doing differently? And why am I not there? So you have to work, find out who's the best. And then you got to work backward. Like Kobe was like, okay, I scored 30. Michael scored 50. How did he score 50? And then he
Yeah,
worked his
he
way
like
back.
reverse engineered it. I call it reverse
Exactly.
engineering it. Yeah,
And a lot of
nah,
people
that's
don't,
sweet.
a lot of people that they don't, they say they want to be the best, but they don't want to put in the reps.
The work.
And they
Yeah, they
don't
don't want
also
the
want
reps.
to
They
be
don't want the
humble.
work.
Like my mentor is John Lee Dumas. And
Okay.
he's my mentor. He's the one that taught me. But I had to humble myself and say, John, I need help. I'm a low tech redneck. I need all the help I can get. And I invested in him. I've invested since I've been doing this. I've invested probably between 30 and 50 grand of my money.
Hmm.
Over 10,000 hours studying podcasts and interviews and stuff like that. So I put in the work, and
Right.
in order to be successful, even like I think Bruce Lee said, he says, "I don't fear the man that can throw 10,000 kicks. I fear the man that can throw that one kick 10,000."
Because he's an expert in that kick.
Yep.
Richard Kaufman, the comeback coach. This was excellent. I'm sure we left so many stones unturned, man. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to do like a part two or something, man. Because I got so many questions, so many questions. But before we jump off of here, man, and you go and enjoy the rest of your evening, what one piece of advice or guidance could you give to the young man or the young woman, that 12-year-old you that buried the previous man, or any other point in your life where you were in a struggle? Somebody right now feels that way, right? What do you think you could say to them, and that would offer them some type of support or guidance?
All right. So I'm going to ask you a question.
What's up?
What does my T-shirt say? It
Put it up again. Again, my eyes are bad. Read it to me.
says today
Today I
I decide.
decide.
So what that means, and I'm a big Joel Osteen guy. I don't care what people say about it.
Hmm.
But something that I say when I'm signing off on my podcast. Every day we wake up in the morning, we get to choose to be the victim or the victor. So, guys, after hearing this
100%.
episode, you get the choice to be the victim in your life or the victor over your circumstances. It's nobody else's fault from this moment on. It's all your fault, how you react to things and how you act. So, no matter what happened in the past, keep it there. But today, you decide victim, victor, your choice.
Yo, heck yeah, yo, I love that. I love that. Today I decide. You heard it here. What's the name of your podcast, bro?
Vertical momentum.
Say it one more time.
Vertical momentum.
Vertical momentum. Check out
Yep.
Richard Kaufman, the comeback coach. Vertical momentum. Again, man,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your
But
time,
now,
brother.
can I offer something to your audience for free?
Yeah, bro, of course. Knock
If
yourself out.
somebody gets in touch with you and listens to this interview, I will send them my book for free, no cost. And if they're struggling, I'll give them a 30-minute coaching call for free, no charge, no gimmicks, anything. So if they want to get a great book, they get the book. If they want a coaching call, as long as you let me know who it is, They get a 30-minute coaching call with me on the phone or Zoom, whatever works for them.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Hey, I heard the man. 30-minute coaching call in a book. If you're struggling and you want to reach out, I'll drop, your contact, your socials. I get them from you. So when I release the episode, I have it all there, and then I'll cut this piece of it. I'll make it do what it do, man, because that's awesome and way to give back. What are the names of the two books that are out now? Because I'm gonna
Well,
definitely, you said they're on Audible, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my
it's called
Audible things. Hang up.
it's called The Hero's Journey from Darkness to
The
Light.
the hero's journey from darkness to light. And then you said you
Yep,
got a second
it's
one?
not. I'm actually writing it right now. It's called Too
Okay.
Dumb to Quit. And
Okay.
then my podcast course just dropped last Monday, so that's brand new. Teaches you, if you want to start a podcast, I teach you personally how to start a purposeful, powerful, profitable podcast in 8 weeks.
Man, solid. So much going on, so many things happening. Just let me say one more time, man. I greatly appreciate you, Richard, and thank you so much for your time. We're gonna have to do this again real soon, my guy. You with me?
Yep. And can I just say something for your audience? Guys, if
Yeah.
you're listening to this episode, make sure you go subscribe, leave my brother a 5-star written review, because every written review is worth 10 5 stars. So make sure you leave him a written review. Let him know how he's doing, because he's doing this because he loves y'all. So make sure you do that
Most
for him.
definitely. I like that, man. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I heard the man so much. Till next time, we out.